Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. Before we get started with the episode, I want to let you guys know that when I shoot these episodes, it's just me. It's a one-man band. I'm checking the lights, the camera, how the desk looks, the audio, the monitor, the shelving, everything. Everything is me. In saying that, I just wanted to let you guys know that, yes, there's a little audio issue for about 10 to 12 minutes, but then we're back on track with these mics with the good audio. I apologize about that. This it's just something that happened, and I can't do anything about it now. That's it. So enjoy the episode. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. My name is Oliver Riera, and this is Bilal Smith.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy? Actually, you know what? Could you put the mic closer a little bit?
Hello.
Please?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Cool. It's close. We're close now.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
It's funny. My roommate gave me a ride here. He was like, "How do you know this person?" I was like, "Oh, I guess I know him from when I was working at the coffee shop, and I met him one time, and I think that was it. I feel like maybe I ran into you maybe out one other time since then.
I don't even know.
But other than that, it's just that one time.
But we have like
summer.
Yeah, that's true, and like we have mutual friends.
Yes.
So like I feel like I
Diego.
know you from that.
Yes.
Even though we really haven't hung out or anything
No.
like that. So, but why don't you tell everybody what you do?
Do I need to look at the camera?
Yeah, for this. Yeah, sure.
So I am a dancer. I'm a soloist with Carolina Ballet. Oh, sorry.
You can
The
scooch
mic.
it in.
Scooch it in.
No, I mean like the microphone.
Okay. This is new. We're learning. Okay. Anyway, so I'm a dancer with Carolina Ballet. And that's what I do. I'm a soloist with Carolina Ballet. I've been dancing for the company for almost 10 years now. I think going on 10 years now. I moved here in August of 2015 after auditioning for their summer program. They offered me a full scholarship.
Hold on, don't get into the whole story.
Wait, sorry. Wait,
Just
we'll
what
get
do
into
you
all
do?
that later.
That's it.
Anyway, that's what I do. we have time. Let's slow it down.
That's
All right,
right,
cool.
yeah.
Anyway, yes.
But the mic's like facing that way. So why are you having so much trouble with it?
I don't know.
That's
because
perfect.
I'm thinking
That's
like
perfect.
if it's close to me, then sorry.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, all right, I can't do it. All right, cool. Then I'm like looking down.
Right.
Like, anyway.
Making sure.
All right,
hey.
cool. All right, cool.
All right. So okay. So ballet dancer. That's cool.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
My dad was a ballet dancer, so like
I never. Okay. Again, we only met
in the
one time.
70s in New York. Yeah, that's true. Up in New York in the 70s and stuff like that.
Damn.
He was really big proponent of, I guess, moving your body because he took like Jeet Kune Do,
Okay.
Bruce Lee's martial art,
And you do like stuff like that? Do you do like Muay Thai or?
yeah.
Okay.
So I did MMA, yeah, mixture of all of them and stuff like that. So, I'm fascinated by you though, because like,
And now I'm here.
I've never really talked in depth of Carolina. When I say the Carolina Ballet, I don't know too much about them. But to me, that's like, as far as the area goes, that's high status.
Yes.
Would you? That's
Yeah.
right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I feel like, there's like big, well-known ballet companies in the major cities like San Francisco Ballet, New York City Ballet, Miami City Ballet, Houston Ballet, stuff like that. But, I feel like from just my years of being a professional and I guess like young, like connoisseur, lover of ballet, and seeing those other major companies, you don't see this high of technical artistry, high caliber dancing in a like more regional type of ballet company that you find here. It's really top notch what we do.
Right.
And what they've done before I even joined the company, started in 1998 by former principal dancer at New York City Ballet, Robert Weiss, who used to be director of Pennsylvania Ballet. And then he came here and started Carolina Ballet, and now it's run by former dancer and resident choreographer, but still choreographer and artist director Zalman Raphael.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just figured like Carolina Ballet has always been around, but no.
Right. And it's weird because I feel like people still don't know that we're here, or they know that we're here, but they're only familiar with like maybe like the Nutcracker. But it's like we do so much great work.
That's interesting.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's start from the top, man. Where are you from?
So I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
I grew up there. I'm one of 5 children. I have 4 sisters.
Interesting.
And
Are they dancers too? Or?
So no, they're not dancers. I feel like we all can dance. It's in the blood. It's in the heritage, I guess. I know, but when it comes to like everyone's thing that they do, I feel like we all are kind of on a spectrum. But I think I give it, and I always say this, like I give all my artistic abilities and I guess passions or desires or just like the nurturing of my artistic like being to my mom, because she, and to like other female figures in my family, honestly, but to my mother because, you know, it's not, we weren't always in front of the TV just watching like whatever, you know. She went to high school and did like calligraphy writing, and you know, she had an artistic passion, and I know that she wanted to go to college for to study art, but she didn't get to go because she had to raise her family.
Yeah.
But while also kind of like staying in touch with that passion of hers, she made sure that we had something that was like, you know, not just
like artistic.
Yeah. So she would buy us like art pads and pencils and like really like top notch stuff that, you know, like the art kids walk around in their like bags with.
And were you dancing like as a little kid? Or?
No. So again, I mean, I did a lot of many things. So it's like I did a lot of like drawing. I loved drawing. I loved like playing with dolls. Like I've got that from like my sisters, but it was like not much for me to do or not much that interested me, I guess, in like the quote unquote ideal of like what a young boy should be doing, I guess. But again, like to my mother, she just allow me to be myself. So I got and she also did a lot of things, like she baked cakes and she like decorated them herself, and
she pretty much made a point to like expose you to a lot of different stuff.
To expose us to a lot of different stuff. Like we all like to draw and have that ability, but my sister played the saxophone for a while. One of my sisters can braid and do hair like naturally. That was just something that she liked to do. And then my older sister, she went to cosmetology school. Both of my younger sisters can really draw and paint, and they have like those gifts and stuff too. But I mean, at one point in time, my mom thought that I would be like a fashion designer, just because like when I would go to my grandmother's house, she would let us like cut up, like she would buy multiple like lace like tablecloths and let us like cut them up and dress like the dolls with it, because they didn't have any clothes or whatever. So so yeah,
interesting.
Those are so I guess I said it like in a nutshell. Those are the things that I feel like all of my siblings like kind of have the gifts of doing.
But they also have like all of those things like kind of influenced you, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think of when you said calligraphy, like that's almost like a dance.
Yeah,
because it's very like, you know, that kind of thing.
It's just one of those things that like my mom didn't really know what I was going to do, but she supported it no matter what. And dancing wasn't something like ballet. I always liked to dance, but I also was like very shy when it came to like dancing in front of people. Like if it was like a family function, if someone was like, oh, like dance while I do something, I would kind of be really shy about it. But I think I guess my passion goes back to like my sisters, that we grew up watching music videos a lot. Yeah. And so like if it was like Thriller or like Destiny's Child or just like anything like
that's what I did with my sister.
Right.
Too.
We just enjoyed like picking up the choreography. And so like whenever the video came on again, like we had it down packed. Right. And so I guess like that is where like my passion for dance came from. And then I guess as a child in my mind, I was like, oh, like one day I'll like be in a music video. Like I want to be in a music video. Like I'll dance on tour with like this artist or that artist. And then, I don't want to keep going and like skip over the next question that you might have, but
no, so you're fine. You're good. So when did you start dancing? Like around what age?
Like ballet?
I would say any dance. Like took classes and stuff like that. You know?
Okay, well then, so I didn't start taking any type of classes until I was 14. So when I started ballet was when I auditioned for the Baltimore School for the Arts. So I remember it vividly.
But hold on, before that,
Okay.
before the age of taking classes, before that, were you doing any type of dance or just like
No, it was just like the play around the house type of stuff.
Okay, cool.
Like watching music videos. That was pretty much it. That was like my only like training. I mean, that was not my training, but that was like my experience with dancing.
Yeah.
Just like moving around. I mean, like there's always like a big family function.
Sure.
Occasionally, or just like a bunch of people come over to your house randomly when you're young, and you're like, okay, like these are my parents' friends, so I guess it's okay. And then there's loud music playing, and then everybody's just like
dancing,
having a good time and dancing, and then you like kind of join in. And as I got older, I guess more times I would like kind of like join in, but most of the time I was just like watching from the side. You know?
Gotcha.
So
was there something like when you watched it from the side, you were like, I want to do this more?
I guess in my mind, you know, like. I guess I just was kind of like imagine like, okay, like I could do this, or I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of like enjoy just like watching, you know, seeing like how people like enjoyed themselves and had a good time.
Didn't really think too much into it, but
yeah, I don't think so.
It's like the kids that just watch their parents do stuff and then they pick it up later.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, you know, I always say like, my ability to pick up choreography now probably comes from growing up and watching music videos and really trying so hard to pick up the choreography. You know, and like, I mean, even until like I began to like dance professionally, I still would be watching music videos with my sisters or watching like clips of Beyonce on tour with one of my sisters and learning the choreo.
Yeah,
you know, and I still do it to this day.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
When it comes to, you know, popular music, like
you know, it's like it reminds me of like other things that I want to do, you know, with my career.
Like what?
Like
wait, what'd you say? I think I misheard you.
I said it just reminds me of other things that I want to do with my career.
Oh, okay.
You know,
as far as like dance goes.
As far as like dance goes, yes. Gotcha. But as far as like first ballet class ever, it would have been my audition for the Baltimore School for the Arts.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
But okay, so your first class was ballet?
Yes. So
why ballet?
Well, so the Baltimore School of the Arts is you know, performing arts high school, music, dance, acting, and visual art, and I think stage production as well.
Okay.
And I remember going to like a high school fair with some people from 8th grade and like seeing the application, seeing the booth and like wanting to fill it out, and just being like, oh, I want to go for dance, you know? And of course, like I think my mom during the process was like, oh, you should, you know, audition for visual arts, but I was just like, I don't want to do that, you know? And I guess innately we always want to do the opposite of what our parents want us to do anyway. So I was just like, I'm now because you said it, I'm definitely not doing it, you know? So and so I filled out an application. They invite you to come to a couple workshops before the actual audition, and they just teach you movement. And any of the workshop classes that we had, they didn't really teach you like ballet. They taught you just like kind of like modern dance, like movement.
Gotcha. And so it's like an intro class.
Yeah, intro. You know, and just then they teach you a routine, and they offer you music and say that you can use this for your audition.
Okay.
And so
how was that for you?
It was
Was it nerve-wracking? Because it's like the first time you're taking class like that,
it was very. I you know what, honestly, I can't remember it being like so nerve-wracking. I do remember it being like from the workshop up into the actual audition, it's just so like, I don't know, like mesmerizing is the word. You know, I could see that there were people there who had done it before, had been doing it, and I was, you know, I guess in awe and just watching them. You know, it was my first experience of really seeing.
Oh, that's good. Because some people would be like intimidated by seeing.
Yeah, up close like ballet dance. I guess like. My thing, I always was trying to like show that I belonged in a way, or like, oh, I don't want people to think that like I don't know what I'm doing, you know. And so I remember like that year in 8th grade, one of my a girl in my class, and I would like walk home and like hang out with her after like school, and she like knew how to like lift her leg up to the side, and so then she like kind of like taught me that. So then when I went to that audition, I just kept like, or that to the workshop, I just kept like doing that in the back, like, oh, I know how to dance too, you know. But as far as like real technique and dance vocabulary, I didn't know anything. But it was just fun, you know. And obviously, like I love being around like girls. I have like 4 sisters, so
you're used to it, right?
it was just something that felt really like, you know, comfortable and like at home for me. But
Nice.
yeah, they taught you the routine. And
Now, as far as like, because like, you got dance, like, you know, you do your own thing and stuff like that, but then you got choreograph pieces.
Yes.
And like, for me, like, I feel like I know how to dance, but when it comes to choreograph things, I'm like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess even to this day, I still feel that way, depending on what it is. You know, it takes you a while to really like loosen up once I get the steps.
Yeah.
And then once I get into my body, I try to like kind of make it my own, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that reminds me of like a quote, not a quote, but something Bruce Lee said. And he's like, there's three stages of learning. And it's like the robotic stage of just learning the actual steps. And then the second stage of kind of knowing the steps, but you still have to look at what it is, what's the next step.
Right.
And then the third step is like, you know, you actually know what
Yes.
you're doing.
That I would say, like, even I've recorded myself doing choreography that I picked up from like Beyonce at her most recent tour, like the Renaissance tour. And I'll like send the videos to my sister, and I'm looking back at it, and I'll record it multiple times before I send it to her, and I'm like, oh, that looked a little too stiff. I need to loosen up, like, you know. And but it's like, because I'm just getting the steps, you know. Right. And now I'm trying to like do it kind of more like naturally or more comfortably, and like let it like sit in my body. Which is why also like I've been trying to now take more dance classes. I feel like, you know, you get stuck doing the same things so long, then you kind of like think like, okay, what do I want to do after I'm done doing ballet? Or even then it's like, what would be something fun to do to like switch it up, you know? Because you can get stuck just like doing the same thing, and then you kind of feel like you do kind of become a robot, or forget ways that you can move, ways that you want to move, but you never, you know, tried it.
You just need like a break from it.
Yeah, a break from it, and it's fun. You know, it's really exciting. I went to like a tap class on Tuesday for the first time, and it was like being like, it was the feeling I had almost in my first dance class. It was like, oh, this is fun. Like, you know, I felt like, and it was like a bunch of, you know, moms and stuff. And I felt like a child in there, because also I was just so excited. I was just like, I just kept like tapping my feet. I didn't know I was late, and the teacher was trying to like tell everybody stuff, because they had like a routine they already knew, and I'm like, I'm being so disruptive or distracting, but it's like I can't stop. I can't stop. Like, oh, this is fun.
I was actually I took in elementary school, they made us for like a day to tap, like a tap session or something like that, and like I was so good that they put me in the front. It's like, everybody look at him, do it the way he's doing. I was like, okay, da da da.
And you know, it's funny how you have those moments where I feel like if you look back in hindsight, that's when you, even if that's something that you don't do right now, it's like, oh, like that's just something that you felt like you really enjoyed it, and it kind of like resonated with your soul, and like you just were like, yeah, this is it. Like, you know, I remember
it's like you're in tune.
Yes, yeah, you become so in tune, and I don't know, it's like in that moment, it's like that was the right thing for you at the time. Like I in like elementary school, you know, they have like these Christmas like recitals or whatever they want fun, like, you know, and so we were singing Someday at Christmas, and it was just like a group of like my 4th grade class, and my teacher was like, who is that like singing loud like that? And they were like, it's Bilal. And then I was like, yeah, that's me. I don't know, I just was like feeling, I guess that just comes from like, I guess me, and maybe it's like a Cancer thing, and I didn't really like know anything about like zodiac signs back then. But I feel like, you know, I just feel like I got really in tune with the words of this, you know, Someday at Christmas, you know, there'll be no war and things like that. And, you know, then it's like Stevie Wonder, and you're like, it's Christmas, and it's like, oh, you feeling it, you know?
Right. That's interesting, because like, because you say like you wouldn't dance in front of people when you were little, but like we still all have these moments of like, we don't care, and then we just do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When I'm telling you, when I'm at the club, if there's a bunch of light on, I can't.
Right.
But if there's no light in the club,
Even to this day,
I can kind of like, maybe I can, but it's like, oh my gosh, like say at a wedding, everybody's like, because they know I'm the dancer, they like, get in the middle. I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to be put on the spot. You know, it's like, I already go on stage and I do that.
Right,
You know, and that's kind of like by choice. But it's like, I just want to do my own thing. You know, it's like, even when someone like comes up and tries to dance with me at the club, I'm like, okay, cool. But also like, I'm in my like own little world, you know, and I feel like, going back to even childhood, it's like I being like the only boy and just like, you know, I always was trying to like escape into my own world.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, be myself. You know,
what it
like
is.
enjoying, I don't know, my imagination and, you know, trying to transport myself to a different place to escape what may have been going on in my household or what had been like going on in my neighborhood or whatever the case may be. You know, it's just, you know, whether it's with my dolls or with the Disney princess movies that I was watching, it was just like, you know, it just made me feel like happy. So I was like, I want to stay there. You know?
Yeah. That's what we're all trying to achieve.
Yeah, you know, and so, you know, and obviously that child is with you always. So, you know, it's like you have to kind of always kind of go back to that and remember that and just, you know,
especially with dance, right?
You know,
I mean, you gotta have a childhood, like living inside you.
Yeah. You gotta keep that inner child, that inner imagination, like alive and just like, you know, fed constantly. And I feel like the more that you tap into that, the more you like don't care.
Are you aware of that, of like your inner child and stuff like that?
Yeah, I am. You know, and I think the more that I try to keep him in mind, I think, you know, I do well, or I am thinking about myself. Yeah, I don't know. It's like you can't forget about that person because that person is who innately like who you are still, and it is the reason why you are where you are today.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and you know,
I guess that's a good reminder too.
Yeah,
like if when you're going through that, I just can't get this. Like I'm stiff. Like I'm just not having fun. You gotta remember your inner child.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of things that you're doing as an adult, you're doing for that person.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, as you got older, like you kept, I don't know, it's like you had a vision of like what you wanted your life to be. And I don't know, it's like everything that you like today is based off of like that person that you were, that is still with you, you know. And I think that when we act out, we're upset, it really is like, you know, the inner child saying like, hey, I need a little attention or love, or I'm frustrated or whatever, you know.
You find yourself in those spots a lot?
Yeah. You know, you
gotta dance it out.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
I don't know if I want to say that. I want to rephrase that. Like, do you find yourself in those moments, just in those moments, and then like, what do you do just to get yourself out of it?
Yeah, you know,
because sometimes I find myself like, you just gotta sit in it, you know.
I don't know. Okay, so there was a reel I saw on Instagram, and I think it was someone asking Angelina Jolie, like, what's your advice for someone who's going through a rough time? And then like, and she was just like, you just have to go through it. You know, it's like pain and frustration and like storms, like that stuff is not easy to go through, but it's like the Lotus, you know, like Tina Turner, you know, I think of myself as kind of like kind of Buddhist, but like not really, but very much like spiritual. And, you know, like the lotus is a flower that grows through the mud, you know. It's like, you know, like we didn't have the same upbringings or same like privileges or, you know, just like opportunities a lot of people growing up wherever we come from, you know. And it's like you had to really get it out the mud. That's a term that we use, you know. It's like, you know, we got out the mud. And I think that like going back to, you know, the Lotus Sutra is just like, you know, everything that like you go through in life is like meant for you to go through, and it's for your highest good, you know, for you to become the person that you are today. You know, it's nothing. Again, the lotus like is a flower that blooms from mud. You know, it's like, so all that mud packed on top of that flower, you know, that seed is for this beautiful thing to arise. You know, the phoenix rises from the ashes. You know, it's like, well, it had to burn first. You know, so I think that
That's definitely true, man.
you just have to kind of like go through those things. And I think like I figured I would like we would talk about this as like, but like 2020, you know, for a lot of people was like a really muddy time.
Yeah,
and you know, I'm a very emotional person and very like empathic person, and that was a really difficult time for me emotionally. You know, to be away from my family, to collectively be seeing what was going on in the world, and to kind of not be doing the thing that honestly I feel has saved my life to this very day.
Yeah,
you know, to not be dancing, to not be around people, and obviously I at times can be very shy, and then all of a sudden I can be very open. So I feel the energy of both the introvert and the extrovert, but just not being around or being able to see friends and family and talk to them and be like face to face, like that was difficult. And so on the other side of that, it was a time that was needed to like go inward, you know? And I think from that moment on, I really had to like go deep down and like dig up a bunch of shit. Can I call it?
Did that take a while from like? Yeah. You,
okay. You know, I just
it's
like,
encouraged.
I had to dig up a bunch of shit that I was not really facing or addressing because we honestly were just like going on like autopilot. I feel like, you know, I felt like I had never gotten so like in touch with myself until that time.
Interesting.
And then after that, it just like continued to roll on like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And I just kept digging and like uprooting things from my past and
healing.
I was really healing, you know, and again, like who would have known that we needed a whole freaking global pandemic to happen for us to start healing?
Yeah, I know.
You know, and like individually and collectively.
Yeah. I mean, with 2020, you either go inward and start to heal all these things.
Yeah.
And then the other part is people have to go through the bad times during that time.
Yeah.
And start to reevaluate their lives.
And their lives,
and their partners,
like, their partners, their friendships, like all types of relationships, you know, were tested and had to like, you know, I don't know, be investigated.
Yeah. What kind of things did you do to heal? Like, was it?
Okay, well, it started off like the stuff that's not really good for you, but it's like, you know, it's part of the process. So like I ate a lot of batch food and I gained a lot of weight and just watched a lot of like TV, but also very like healing TV that I had watched before the pandemic had started, like Queer Eye, you know, the show, but like makeovers and just like also like really getting in touch with like people and like what they're going through and how to like help them heal to be a better version of themselves.
Right.
And just like, I don't know, just a lot of like different shows. My sleep schedule was like off the rails. Like it didn't exist. Like I was up from like 12 or like 8 at night to like 8 in the morning some days.
Damn.
It was rough. And so, and then I started to experience like, you know, the outward manifestation or like inward manifestation of like what I was actually doing to myself. So I started having like, So I started having like panic attacks or like, you know, like I remember like trying to pray one night and like I couldn't like quiet my mind. Like I just kept having all these thoughts of like, oh my God, like what's happening? Or like, I was just so fearful of like everything that was going on. It's like, again, like it also was a time where I'm living in the South and I'm from Baltimore and I never felt more like I lived in the South until that time. I was like, is someone gonna see me at a protest and then like follow me home and just like kidnap me in the middle of the night and just like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, but that's just like also just the type of imagination that I have that it just kind of like went wild. But yeah, I mean, like I was a RA at a summer program in New York. It's like a dance program. And I saw this girl like out of nowhere just like run down the hallway, like crying hysterically. And I think someone said like, or she had said like, oh, I have like panic attacks sometimes. And so then that happened in like 2018. So then like that night I was like, wow, this is what that is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like your body just like saying like it is overwhelmed and it needs.
Yeah. It's almost like you're looking at yourself from the third point of view or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
It was crazy. So I reached out to friends, and I even had like people who I didn't really know that well, who I was like talking to like on Instagram, and even texting friends of mine, coworkers at the middle of the night, being like, just breathe, you're gonna be fine. Just like take a deep breath. And
so you made it a point to reach out.
Yeah. And because I was like, I'm like struggling right now. And then
any kind of like meditations? Or
Yeah. So a friend of mine was like, "Oh, you can. There's this like meditation I do, or like you can play this like these beats or this music, and it'll help you go to sleep." And it did help. And I think that was just like the beginning of it. Then I, honestly, like the internet is like a very helpful place at the time, and I think that all like the universe and like spirit guides like came to like assist me in that moment, because there was a teacher that I had in New York, named Kareem Plantedit, and she is a Buddhist, but she also came when I was training at the Danseur of Harlem. She taught us like dance and like theater and stuff like that. But anyway, it's like one of those things when you like have friends on Instagram that you don't know you have, and then someone goes live and you're like, wait, who's this? And then you click on it, I was like, oh, I know her. And so she would do these Wednesday, like midday meditations. And I caught it like at the tail end of it, but then I think it was saved. So then I like joined in.
Nice.
And so then every time I would see it on the Instagram, I would join, or I would just like watch it after. So I really started, meditating more.
Was that hard at first?
It wasn't really that hard. It was almost one of those things where I was just like, oh, like I could have been doing this for the longest time. I don't know why I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where like,
people usually have a hard time with it at first, though, like because like their mind's just going, it's like I can't.
But it was like her voice. I don't know. I feel like with like the meditations I do, it has a lot to do with the person's voice. If like it's
guided
not really,
meditation.
The guided meditation, it's like not soothing to me. I can't. Sometimes it's just like now that is like hard. I'm like, ooh, you're not really calming me down. It's not working. But it's just like maybe it was just her like motherly like energy. I don't know. It's just like it really just like kind of was a vibe. And so that started, and then I was like, I got to get the hell out of Raleigh too. So then I visited a former dancer of the company, a friend of mine, and his girlfriend or fiance. I can't remember if they were already engaged. But anyway, I went to go visit them in Rhode Island, and I stayed with them for like 2 weeks. I just needed to get away.
Yeah.
And then I came. And
I think it's
went,
important to get away.
Yeah, it was like I needed like to escape. So I went there, and I would take class and stuff. Because at that time everything was on Zoom, so we were taking class at home. Yeah. I like ordered a ballet bar to get shipped to their place, and I would like take it out. I would take it and do class like outside. Nice. Because they had like a little back patio. So I found ways to kind of like just like let myself like be free and kind of like go on like this like journey of like self rediscovery almost and healing. And so I just really leaned into like the meditations in the morning and at night, and and just finding like and then like another friend of mine from work was put me on to like Abraham Hicks, and she's just I don't know, I would say that she's like I don't really know what to say about her, but she just talks a lot about like the universe and metaphysical and just like manifestation and just like affirming and just like knowing that like you can create your reality, basically that type of like
law of attraction kind of thing.
Law of attraction. So just would like listen to a lot of that, but then also there's this woman named Christina Lopes on YouTube who really delved, and I really related to her because while she talked about like your chakras and things being out of alignment, she also made the connection between your chakras and like you being like disempowered empath, or like why the reason why you choose the type of people in your life is because of this experiences that you had as a child, and then that created this type of like personality trait about you and the type of people that you're. It's like it just really just like opened my mind. And then like even recently,
let me ask you this.
Okay,
so between that person and the other person you were talking about, do you feel like they came into your life at the perfect time?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
All of it.
Not just me then.
No. Because like, all of it came into my life at like the like perfect time.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't have been more.
Because like I got into like Les Brown, like motivational speakers and stuff like that. Because I needed to, you know, keep that motivation of dreaming and stuff like that. And then you got like E.T. Eric Thomas, motivational speaker of, you know, keep going, keep digging. You know, it's like those things like just came into my life perfectly.
And I mean, it was like it was so divinely purposed for it to happen how it did. And
so she taught you. She's really the last person you mentioned. I forget her name.
Christina Lopes.
Yeah. So she's the one that really got you starting to heal.
Yeah, honestly. And I mean, like
That's interesting because you went from meditation to prep yourself. To now healing.
Yeah, and
it's like next step.
It was yes. And it's like you're not ready until you're ready.
Yeah.
And you have to just kind of like slowly ease into it. I don't know. And so it was like that. And I mean, again, she had like just like these long videos about like, you know, if you're an empath of like these are the type of people like, if you attract a lot of narcissists, this is why, and like this is ways that you can stop these cycles and stuff like that. I'm just like, what? And you know, and like this has to do with like your relationship with your mother, or this has to do with your relationship with your father. I'm like, what? This is crazy. But it was like, oh wow, you know. And from that, I even went. I mean, she even had like these like energy upgrades and downloads and things like that like really, I don't know, just like I felt deeply in my body.
Yeah.
But even this past week, I was like looking in a like journal or like a notebook that I had, and I would like write down all these notes because like I was really like interested in it. But I was like, oh, this is like good. Like I need to do this. You know, it's like I had also, and this is like, I guess at this point, it's like 2020, 2021, as I'm like still following these people and like looking at these videos on YouTube. And then I started therapy, because I kept getting ads for like Talkspace and like BetterHelp and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So I started doing that, which is also very, very beneficial.
Let me ask you this about not just therapy, but you know, before you started doing therapy, did you find yourself when she was talking about all the things like of healing your past? Did you find yourself surprised by the things that she said? And was like, oh, I didn't even think that was a thing that I needed to heal. You know, did that ever come into play? Or was it just always there and like all these things that you really...
You know, there were moments where I would be like, oh, that makes sense. Like seeing, you know, the dynamics between my parents. Oh, that's why, you know, I act this way in relationships, you know, or like, you know, this is why I like put up with like X, Y, and Z, you know, because, oh, I don't want to be abandoned or whatever, you know? So it's like, oh, okay. But it's like, it was the hard part, I feel like, was to like not take the blame, because obviously I'm the one who's like doing the stuff, you know, or had been doing these things, but also learning to like forgive yourself. You know, I feel like the forgiveness part is like forgiving yourself because like you're only doing what you felt you knew was the right thing to do at the time.
Not just yourself too, but like
your parents.
Kind of what you're saying, but like your parents too, but your inner child.
Yeah, inner child. I mean, you know, it's like, and also, and I couldn't like say any of this without bringing up this Reiki healer who used to work with the ballet. Her name was Sophie, and she would come to the studio like maybe once a week and do Reiki. And then during the pandemic, like I had reached out to her, and so then we would do like FaceTime, like Reiki sessions, and it was very helpful. And like I would go to her whenever I was struggling, especially with any type of like relationship dynamics with like a friend or romantic partner or anything like that. But yeah, you know, she gave me so much knowledge about, you know,
she was
just like clearing, just like,
She was almost like your therapist.
Yeah, you know, just like clearing your space and like clearing your energy, and also just knowing that like, you know, you can't. Your work is someone else. The work that someone else needs to do. Like, say, like you have a friend, you feel like, oh, you need to like work on this, you need to work on that. We always want to like try to help people, but it's like their work is their work.
Sure.
You can't do that for them.
Right.
Like your work is your work. You have to like stay focused on you. but because it's like, if some, like, again, like, if you keep trying to do someone else's work for them, what will they get from it?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing, because like they actually have to go, like we are where we are today because we actually went through it. They have to go through it as well.
Yeah. And
you can point them to the right people, but you can't make them do the work.
Right.
And also people are not ready until they're ready.
That's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
Yeah, come on. Like, what are you doing? I'm trying to help you.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you know, and it led me to, like, regardless of whether it like did anything or if I felt like it was going to go anywhere, like I had like conversations with my mom on the phone, like, hey, I just want to talk to you about
That's a
these
big
things.
step.
You know, and we have a really good relationship, you know.
Like from even before?
Yeah, you know, I mean, like, this is, I mean, my mother, like, I don't know, it's just like, while everyone goes to their own thing, it's like my mom is just like my biggest cheerleader, to the point where like sometimes I'm like annoyed by it. You know, and those things, like she's posting about something on Facebook, that, you know, like I'm just like, take that down or don't post that. But no, I love her so much, and you know,
Did she receive it well?
she received. I mean, like we were like crying, and like I even like spoke to, just like, I know, obviously, like I was very aware and was there a lot through most of, like, I guess my life with her, and seeing the things that she went through as I was growing up, and being like, you know, yeah, like that wasn't cool, or like, you know, you didn't deserve that, and just speaking to that, and also knowing from like the work that I was doing on myself that like, look, that came from like your childhood, you know. And I know also just like not knowing every like in and out and every single detail, but knowing that like, you know, you had people that weren't there for you maybe, and that's why you acted like this, and like, you know, it's like, and also her receiving and being like, you know, yeah, I'm sorry that I did this, or sorry that I wasn't there in this moment, or whatever. And it's like, but I already, you know, forgive her for that, or like just know that it's not personal, because again, people forget that parents are still people who don't get a handbook or like a lesson to like how to be parents, and also they are still the children who have grown up figuring out life. I mean, I guess no one gets a handbook and like, you know, a seminar on how to like live life on Earth when we come here.
Especially like when immigrant parents and stuff.
Yeah, you know.
My parents were immigrants and they were trying to be American while I was trying to be American. And everyone didn't know what they were doing. And there was just a lot of hectic and a lot of healing that needed to happen.
Yeah, everybody's just like a product of their own like upbringing and conditioning, and just like,
I wish we could like figure that out earlier.
Yes.
But maybe it has to do with like the frontal lobe not fully
develops. Yeah. It's like
if it's the frontal lobe.
I don't know. I feel it's almost like, you know, at some point, obviously, like, you come into this world, you're born, and you like grow up, and you kind of aren't conscious. But then, like, when you get older, you really become conscious. More conscious and more conscious and more conscious, and you like think like, wow. Something is not right. You know, like, you have to like do better. You know? And so
start to see all these things. And then like, I don't know if you've experimented with medicine as far as like shrooms or DMT.
You know what? I've thought about it, and like at a time back in like maybe like 2021, something like that, I was like, you know, I don't think I want to do it, but I do want to try it, obviously once. But I was like, I need someone there before I like try. And honestly, like, different things, different experiences. But the only time I've like, obviously it's not the same thing, so I don't like bring it up. But like, I tried like a gummy once, and that was like the most death defying. Not even death defying. It was just like, I felt like I was going to die.
Wow.
Or like, I didn't feel like I was going to die, but I was like, wow.
What were you doing? Like, are you out in public?
Literally, I was with a friend of mine, and he was like, oh, you want to try this like Delta 8 gummy? And I was like, sure, yeah, like, I'm probably not gonna feel anything, and you know, very naive. And then I like took it, and he's like, yeah, like, it's gonna hit you probably like in like 15 minutes or something like that. And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't feel anything. We're watching the movie, then all of a sudden I was like, I heard a voice in my head literally saying like, you're about to fucking trip out, get ready. Yes. And I was like, and all of a sudden like my like head just like was like ping, and I was like, oh fuck. And I was like looking at my hand, and I was like, it's wrong. And I just like was like, oh shit. I just kept saying that, and then I was just like, yo.
Damn.
And then the next day I was like, am I gonna be the same?
Right, yeah. That's what I said when I I had my medicine here.
I was like, am I gonna be like thinking like this? Am I gonna hear these like not even voices, but I just like kept like honestly it was like the psychosis. I was just like in my head so much being like, am I gonna feel like this forever?
Yeah.
I need to like check myself in
Right.
to the hospital. I was like, what's going on? And then after that I felt like, okay, I'm on.
Right. Yeah,
So,
like when I did my shroom, I had some other thing when I did my shroom medicine healing. But when you have to do it like with intention.
Right.
Like, don't do it just to do it. Do it with intention. Like, what the question do you want answered? For me, when I did my session, I was like, what is freedom? I didn't know what freedom was. I felt like I was in jail or something. And so when I did it, my shroom trip was the most shrooms I've ever taken. And it was, and so it lasted for 7 hours, which is crazy. Like my hair was like, got electrocuted by the end of it. I had a rebirth, is what they call it.
7 hours.
I was like a bird at one point. I was inside my nervous system. And then like another point, I experienced what like a true soul felt like. Like I was a plasmic energy soul, no body. And it was like, you know what it was? It was like the genie in Aladdin when he first came out. That's what it felt like. I was like, woohoo, running around. And it's like, whoa, man. And after when I was coming down from it, I was talking to my shaman. I just not like a shaman, but a guided person. And I was like, how do you live life after this? And she's like, that's why we talk about it at 3 sessions afterwards.
Yeah. So how did you feel? How do you feel now after doing that?
It feels great. Yeah, I still think about that session every single day, every time. And that was like 3 years ago or something.
Wow.
But like my DMT trip is when I like got introduced to my ancestors and stuff like that. And like I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. So I did DMT and I like astral projected to my ancestors' name is on jungle. And it wasn't just like one.
Where are you from?
Venezuela. Well,
okay.
My family's from Venezuela.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born here.
Okay.
First generation.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was in the village and I could see the huts, people running around, the common area, fireplace, and people were excited. They were looking at me because I was there and stuff like that. And I was talking to the shaman in front of me, and he was speaking his native tongue. I didn't understand what he was saying. But I didn't know what he was saying, but I understood what he was saying. But he was saying everything is you. The grass, the trees, the water, everything is you. And then like a stone staircase popped up in front of us, and then it crumbled to the ground. And he's like, even when things fall like this, it's okay because that's a part of you too.
That is crazy. Okay, can I tell you that just sounds like a regular dream that will happen to me on a random night during the week. But it's so crazy. But it's like it's not crazy because like that is so true. And like depending on the type of movies that you watch and like what the movie is about or like whatever, it's like or even like a meditation or I don't know. It's like when we come into these bodies, we're coming from everything that is already there. Yeah. And then when we leave these bodies, we're going back to that. And then if we come back, we're so connected to everything. And I feel like, just like, it's one of those things like we're talking about, like, oh, you want to help people. It's like, I wish that everybody just would like realize that they're like, we're a part of everything and everything is us. And like, for real. Who gives a fuck about like, how many likes you have on a post or whatever, it's like because
Patricia doesn't talk to me anymore.
It's like okay, no, it's I think like a friend of mine who I like was not a friend of mine, and then we connected and got close and became friends, and then like fell apart, and we now recently just connected. I think that our relationship taught me the most about like how the meaning of like people in your life for a reason or a season. Oh. It's like everybody has their purpose when they come into your life and they can come back or they, it's like the Reiki healer Sophie, she introduced me to this story about the little soul and the sun. A or maybe just called A Little Soul. But anyway, it's like a little story, and you can like find it on YouTube. And it's basically like, you know, we make these agreements with people, or these souls that we meet before, you know, we come here into these physical bodies. And it's like, okay, you're going to teach me about patience, or you're going to teach me about forgiveness. Like, and maybe it's because, like, you know, okay, so in the life before, like, you agreed, like, okay, you're gonna, in this next life, you're gonna hurt me, and that's gonna teach me about like forgiveness, or how to, like, you know, love, or whatever, you know. So it's like, I feel like from that relationship, you know, I became vegan. You know, I really like got into deeply of my spiritual practice, but also I connected with someone who, again, like, you would think that, like, if someone you don't like at a point in time, you would never think like I would ever be friends with them.
Right.
You know? And I guess, like, I would say that I was hanging out with someone who they had been hanging out with before in the past, before we were friends. And when I was hanging out with that person, they were talking a lot about them. And I was just like, you know what? I really, you know, think this person is a very handsome person. And honestly, I don't wish them any, like, ill will. His name is Will. But you know, I just think that, like, these are the moments when I'm like my truest self. I just thought, let me just message this person on Instagram and be like, hey, you know, I'm with so-and-so, and he was talking about you, and I just want to say, you know, like, I'm sorry for what I said, like, back in, like, 2018. And, like, you know, I really do, like, wish you all the best. And I feel like that seed was planted. The God, universe saw that, was like, and it probably was already meant to go the way it went, you know, obviously. And it was like, all right. And now later, like in 2021, we like became friends, and then like, you know, went on that journey. And so,
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I now see people as two different things, a soul and a body.
Yes.
After that experience.
Yeah.
And it made things easier to deal with. Especially, like, you say hey to somebody as they're walking by, they don't answer you, they give you a yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I be talking to myself a lot, and maybe you're just crazy or whatever, but it's like, you know, someone walks by and they're like, all right, well, I guess not, but okay, you know.
I say that out loud.
You know, no, but for real, it's just like, okay, you know, and obviously, like, every day, like, it's different. Like, sometimes people do something, they really, like, piss you off to the point you're like, in your mind, you're like, okay, fuck you, whatever, but then you're like,
It's just their soul experience.
Right, it's not that deep. Even though I, like, want to rip their head off, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I think I've learned more. Recently, I've gotten back into, like, reading, or like listening to books. Like, around that same time when I was, like, kind of doing all the healing, I, like, listened to The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And then I think I started getting into a lot of podcasts. I can't remember the other book that I had listened to. But I listened to that. But then recently, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, someone had...
I heard about that one.
Yeah, so a person who was, like, working at the ballet at the time was reading that, and she was like, oh, you should read it. And then, like, I saw that. And honestly, I was in a bookstore first, like, recently, or a month or two ago, and I was like, I don't want all these books. But I was like, I don't want to buy them. So let me look them up and see if they're on YouTube. And I was like, they are, so I'm going to listen to it. And so I was listening to that, and he talked about, like, the feedback loop from hell. And it's just like the loop in your mind when, like, say, like, somebody pisses you off, and then you're like, now you're saying, like, oh, I'm so mad that they pissed me off. And now I'm mad that they got me mad. And now I'm mad that they got me mad. Now I'm mad that they got me mad, that I'm now mad at myself, and I'm mad at myself and being mad about them getting me mad. And it's like this loop that keeps going. And then you realize, like, but wait, I could just not give a fuck, because at the end of the day, it's like they're still carrying on with their life. And what, you know, is this adding more time to my life now that I'm sitting here thinking about this?
Right. Yeah.
No, it's not.
That's true.
So.
Very true.
I was like, wait, was it not recording now?
Yeah, I
just went through that.
Yeah. Just to let everybody know, I fucked up on the audio. So sorry about that. But we're back. We're all good.
You know what? It is what it is. You know, Lauryn Hill, she said this on her Unplugged thing. She's like, you know, I think this was back in, like, I don't know, 2001 or 2002 or something. But she was just saying, you know, you think that every time when you're a singer or artist, whatever, you feel like, oh, I have to, she said she would like go and warm up for like hours and hours, and she wouldn't talk all day and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, sometimes it's just like, that doesn't do anything. Some days it's just like, you're going to get a raspy voice.
Yeah.
But it's still a voice.
Right.
It's still a gift. It's still something that I'm going to give to you. Yeah. And if like the heart is there, the intention is there, then it is what it is. So the heart and the intention is there. So here we are.
Yeah. It's all good.
It's all good.
Intention. All good intentions. So let's go back a little bit.
Right. Because we really, one thing I'm enjoying about this is that we went from like, all right, who are you?
Yeah.
What do you do? What have you gone through? Tell me your healing practices. Let's talk about, our plant medicine journeys and
all that stuff. Yeah, it's fun.
Which in a nutshell is like who I am, who we are as people.
Right.
It's not just like this one thing.
Yeah.
Which I like.
I find myself connecting with people who are more spiritual, on the spiritual realm, in a way that you said you were as well, and stuff like that. So it's fun to talk about.
We try.
But I think we left off where you just got into the ballet. No, you first taking classes.
Okay, back to ballet. All right, so yes. So
you were taking classes in ballet.
I'm getting ready to audition for Baltimore School for the Arts. Yeah. While I was auditioning, the whole process, the workshop, all that stuff, and then
it was a school.
It's Performing Arts High School.
Right.
So
all 4 years.
Well, I did an extra year because I was fucking up.
Okay.
Math was not my thing.
Oof.
And honestly, it's like, look, I was just trying to get away from the neighborhood knuckleheads, whatever, who would beat my ass, chase me home. Throughout elementary, middle school.
Oh, did you get that? You got that through? I didn't know that.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
Well, because I was different. I was gay. But
that's the reason why.
That was mainly the reason why. Yeah. I mean, or maybe they liked me and they were hating themselves. I mean, as you get older, you realize like it was a lot of things like they probably were a little gay too, or were like, oh, he's being something that's so like not what everybody else is being. So we need to like hate on that. And I mean, and then that takes us. I mean, we could talk about like the, we all black, but now I'm gay, so we hating on me, but we black. Yeah. So we gotta we should be like loving each other because we're all in this together because we all black. Yeah. And it's like also just like self-hate. It's like because again, I mean, patriarchy affects, I feel like everybody, and like the toxic like masculinity affects everybody. Not, it's like so. It affects us because we're taught that we have to be a certain way. We can't show softness or vulnerability or love in these ways because then that's wrong. It's like gay or it's all these things that it just isn't. It's just love. It's just people being who they truly are to the core, to their heart. So anyway, was doing my best to get away from that. So I was like, all right, this might be the place for me. And so I go and I do these workshops and I was getting rides there from like some cousins of mine. The last workshop day, they like say like come down and we'll get you like a CD for the audition, and it was like $5, and I was like, I probably could have got it from my cousin, but I didn't have it, and I didn't feel like waiting, so I was like, all right, let's just jet, let's go. So I told my mom I need music. She had a friend at the time who like would burn CDs for her, so she burned me a CD and gave it to me the morning of my audition from the Blade soundtrack. I can't tell you what it is, but if I look it up, I'm sure I can find it. Yeah. Anyway, so she got me that music. She got me a pair of tights. So on the day of the audition, I wore a pair of tights with some socks that I got from Old Navy and a white tank top. And I had braids at the time. And I had this little like, kind of like a little like pin. Well, it wasn't a pin. It was like a little metal like plate, like those like little chains that they wear, like the soldiers have. Oh yeah. But mine was just like silver, and it had like a little breast cancer like ribbon like embedded into it. Yeah. Because I had my grandmother had passed away in 2001, I believe, from cancer. So I was just like, that's, I kissed it and I put it on the ground. I did my little solo. And I kind of like did the solo, but then I also just kind of like did random shit. Like I started just doing so they had us downstairs in this one studio watching everybody do, like everybody was like allowed to like run through their pieces. So I'm just watching people. I'm just like, I'm going to do that. I saw this girl do. Damn. I was like, I saw this girl do some little like back bend thing. I was like, I'm putting that in mine.
Without even trying it.
Without even trying, I was just like, I'm doing that.
Damn.
So I'm telling you, I was like, look, this is my fucking moment. Anyway, so we go upstairs.
Were you nervous?
I was kind of nervous, yeah, but
I mean, with that mentality, I feel like you weren't.
I was like, you know what? I don't know. It's crazy. Like, who the fuck did I think I was? I was like, I'm just about to be. I'm me. I'm gonna do. And sometimes when you're nervous, you just do anything.
Yeah.
So, but something took over me, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. You know, I was nervous because I was like, I really wanted it, and so, anyway, I go upstairs. You know, I kiss my little necklace thing, put it on the ground, and I start my solo. And I kind of like started the way that it was taught to us, and then I just started doing like anything that they had taught us in the workshops. I started doing some random ass chassés across the floor. They didn't teach us that in the solo, but I did it. Yeah. And then I did the little thing that I saw the girl do downstairs and pushed up from the floor. And anyway, they were like, all right.
I mean, when it comes down to that kind of thing, if it's basically you're just feeling the music.
I'm just feeling it. I was in my zone, so I was just doing whatever. And they loved it because they were like, can you come back tomorrow for the callbacks? And I was like, okay. Nice. And then a teacher of mine who like I love and still keep in touch with, he was there. I didn't know him at the time, obviously, because I was just auditioning. His name is Anton Wilson. He came to me, he's like, you need a dance belt. No, you need to wear some like tighter underwear because I had boxes on and like just can't be distracting like that. So he told me that. I think I came back the next day for the callbacks. But I mean, the whole process, I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I'm like watching these like teen, like these like high schoolers, and because I'm like at the time in 8th grade, I'm watching these high schoolers like help demonstrate for the audition. Yeah. And they're doing, you know, all these combinations. I'm just like trying to do what they asked me to do, but also I'm like watching, I'm just like, these women are beautiful. These girls are beautiful. So
it sounds like you pick up things just from looking.
Yes. I'm very visual learner.
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes when it got to the school part, the math and all that, it was just like, it wasn't hitting with the autistic side of the brain that I feel like was really like getting me through life.
Right.
So did that and then had to wait like 2 weeks. And I remember it was like a Sunday. I think my dad was home watching a football game. My mom was at work. I think my sisters were with her. My younger sisters were at home. I kept checking the mail. And I like went to the mail. I think it was like maybe like February something or whatever. Anyway, so I go to the mailbox. I get it. It says Baltimore School of the Arts. It's like a little envelope. Maybe it was like a big thing. Anyway, I think it was like a little envelope. I'm like pressing against the envelope trying to see like what it says. Yeah. Because I know it's like, it's the letter to tell you like,
you could just open it.
I could just open it, but I was scared. I was like, oh shit. So I was like, okay. It looked like it say accepted. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm like, I opened it up. And I literally look at it, it's like, you have been accepted to the Baltimore School of the Arts. And I literally just start crying. And I go to my dad's room, and I definitely was like, he couldn't hear anything. I was like, oh, you're accepted to the school. And I call my mom, and like, I just hear in the background like crying. And so that was it.
There you go.
Got accepted to the school. Went there August of 2007.
Were you like in your element?
Oh, I mean, got there? Well, it took me a while, but I was in my element for sure. Okay. Like, you know, I think like it was one of those things that like a sponge, I just like soaked it all up, or, you know, like a leech, I just like latched onto. I was like, oh, this is for me. Yeah. And I think it really hit me like the very first day of school or week of the school. So like if you're a freshman, sophomore, you have ballet classes and dance classes first, and then 12 o'clock to 1 you have lunch, and then your academics is the rest of the day till like 4:10.
Oh, I got you.
So once you're done with your academics, you go back to the dance department. It's kind of like Hogwarts, you know, you have your like little areas that each department goes to. So I went back to the dance department, and I'm watching them in like a modern class, and they're like just like sweating and in their leotards, and they just like look so like beautiful, and they're like holding like these like balances, like it's called like a coccyx balance, but they're just like holding it like a little hinge on the floor, and I'm just like, this is what I want to do with my life. Like I think it just hit me in that moment. And from then on, that was all she wrote.
Yeah, interesting.
And now we're here.
Wow. So from what I'm gathering is like the reason you love dancing is because of the beauty of it.
Yes. I would say that I didn't find myself that beautiful until I became a dancer, and now I feel so beautiful. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and again, like you're young, you know, people see you don't see yourself sometimes. So it's like, I'm sure people thought I was beautiful.
Sure. Yeah.
back then, but like I didn't really see it.
Yeah.
And then
And I think you are the most important.
Right. You got to love yourself.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just like, yeah, it's like it gives you like a sense of like, it really just gives you so much, you know, and at that age, it's like hard because you are like just kind of like hitting puberty and growing up and like dealing with like your emotions and shit like that. So it is kind of a crazy like thing to kind of get into, but it does teach you a lot about like hard work and dedication and discipline. I mean,
not even like, especially dancers, like it's not just about the dance part of it that you have to be disciplined, but it's outside as well.
Yeah.
With
it's like
nutrition and all
and just like, I mean, and again, like that part, I guess didn't really like,
well, I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't really seem that important to me as like a student in high school. Right. I mean, obviously like the girls get hit with it more. Yeah. And then as you get older, like you realize that like, no, like guys get hit with it too. And like you have to like really take care of your body. And you know, it's like it's a business in a way. It's sad. Yeah. It's not sad, but it's like that's the reality of it. It's like it's also a business. So you have to take care of yourself. But it's like I think that we think that is for someone else, but we have to realize that it's about us. Like, how can you dance or work at the highest potential? Well, it's about like how you take care of your body. I mean, just as a human, like how can you like live your life at your highest potential? And you know, I know it's like about how you treat yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. You know, what do you put into your body? Like, what are you watching constantly? What are you eating? What are you drinking? You know, and it's you know, like when you're in that environment in high school, you like give up a lot. Like you don't go to a lot of like, you try to and you do sometimes, but you don't get to go to like homecomings. I mean, I didn't know that was like even a thing in high school, but you don't go to a lot of like dances and homecomings and all those things. You know, it's like you should be just like school and home and like stretching at night and like, you know, getting enough sleep.
Were you that type of person that was like going out all the time or something?
No.
Or were you more disciplined?
Obviously I had my things where like I like wandered off and tried to like be an adult and be grown, and you know, I learned from those experiences. I think just in like when it comes to like this like the lifestyle, and it's not even like a lifestyle thing, but just like as like a young gay black man in the city in that area, because I lived in like a really like in like a gay neighborhood, you know, for a lot of like adults around, and it was like downtown kind of Baltimore. So like they would always say like, girls, be careful like what you're wearing. And it's not like, okay, like thinking back on this, like, you know, it was more so like a protection thing. It's like you're in like where the school is like smack dab in like the middle of like kind of like downtown Baltimore. Okay. So you're like, you're young girls, like, you know, and not everybody is like friendly, you know. And I mean, me being like young, you know, black gay guys, like I'm in an area that's like, you know, a lot of like people are like kind of like on the strip, you know, trying to like work hard for the money, you know, for lack of a better word. And so it's like, but also it's like, you know, there are older men approaching, you can like approach me, and I'm just like, you know, in a way, when young developing mind, you're like, oh, I feel so like wanted, but it's like, no, like you need to be careful, like you don't know who these people are, you know? Yeah. So, you know, I learned quick, like, I have to be careful in those ways, but
you had to learn quick because of an incident or because just you know that knowledge?
I would say both.
Okay.
I would say both. I would say like, you know, and it's like I had to learn like, okay, and again, that goes back to like a self-love thing. It's like I feel like I didn't really know like self-love at that age. So I felt like any type of attention was someone loves me. Yeah. You know, and I guess like when you're young, you know, you want to feel like someone finds you attractive or beautiful or important or whatever. And so like, you know, I had a lot of lessons to learn at that age. And I learned them, and I think to myself, you know, I didn't grow up in the 80s because I could be dead, because like that was like the height of AIDS. You know, it's like just going out there and like doing whatever and not really thinking about it. It's like that would have like I wouldn't have survived that at that time. Right. So a good thing that I went through the things that I went through and learned how I learned, because again, like also no one's like really saying like thinking about like, oh, you know, you need to, no parent, I don't know. It's like, yes, the birds and the bees conversation, no one's really doing that. No one's really having those conversations, you know? And so And I mean, again, like parents are just learning. So, you know, I don't really blame them. I just was like, all right, I was young. I was in this school in this area. It kind of like was kind of the area, I guess, that, you know, kind of I would find myself in when I got older. But at that time, I didn't know any better.
Right.
So I made some mistakes, and I don't know. I wouldn't call it mistakes. It's just like I was learning.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
they're mistakes when you're young.
they're mistakes when you're young.
But when you get older, they're lessons.
They're lessons. So it's like, you know, yeah, I was just like learning lessons.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
so what happened after that? What hold on, let me ask you this. Was there a goal in mind?
So yes, back to high school. I mean, that was also about like the high school and the experience and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it taught me about how to love myself, how to care for myself. But also I talked a lot to like my teachers about like what I was feeling. And anyway, the goal was to, I don't know what the goal was. I feel like at the time,
dance, yeah.
At the time I was just like dancing. But I think that as I got older, you know, I was like, okay, I mean, I did want to, like, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, I want to do this professionally, like, you know. But, you know, I didn't know the other ways that I could have, like, really went harder with it. Like, there are people who, like, left high school and, like, went to train year round with these, like, ballet companies, you know, in their schools. I looking back on it in hindsight, like, maybe I should have just did that. Like, I think about it now as I'm older and already professional. I was like, damn, I should have just, like, left the high school and like took and went to like the ABT school or like San Francisco Ballet School. But it's like, and I feel like the high school part kind of got in a way of it a lot because like I struggled with the school part. But if it was like, if I just like skipped that and went straight into like focusing on dancing, maybe I would be somewhere else. But also it's like I'm where I am now because it's where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
And so.
And was it like always ballet, or were you interested in other kinds of dances?
So, yeah, I mean, going back to like the growing
because that
up,
could distinguish your goal and stuff.
yeah.
Right?
So going back to like, and I guess they never really talk to us about like career path and like stuff that you can do and like what, you know. Cause also it was like, it was one of those things where like it was a high school. So like a lot of people were like, all right, now you can go to college for dance, and everybody was doing that, but it was like that's just not everybody's journey. Not everybody has the money, and you don't learn that until you learn that. So. To not digress, but to like get back on track. Sure. So I, you know, was thinking like, all right, I'll be a professional dancer. Then every summer I would go somewhere. A couple summers I didn't because like I just failed too many like math classes or like science classes that I need to go to summer school. Yeah. But like I still like found ways to like take class over the summer to like stay in shape. And then I like auditioned for colleges like everybody else was doing because that was what they were like saying, like, oh, you audition for this school, da da da. Not thinking that like, all right, somebody got to pay for this shit.
You're right.
You know, so I auditioned for, and there was some schools that my guidance counselor would say that like I wasn't going to get into because of like my grades, and I was like, well, I'm going to get into them because I'm going to go there for dance and they're going to want me and they're going to take me. So I auditioned for a lot of different schools, but Point Park University and Adelphi University really wanted me, but again, like they couldn't take me because of my grades. But then there was University of North Carolina School for the Arts, and I knew I had roots and family here because my mother was born here, and her sister and her brother. So I went and auditioned for UNCSA, and they offered me. They accepted me to the dance program and they offered me some money, but it just was not enough. So I went to community college for a year and was like, all right, I'm gonna, you know, go.
Get rid of the core classes.
Yeah, and do that. But I'm telling you, that was the worst year of my life. Ugh. But it was the again, like the shit that I had to like kind of like go through to realize what I really like wanted to do all along. Like I always refer or reference like the Wizard of Oz. It's like she had to go on that journey, whether it's, you know, Judy Garland or Diana Ross or whoever. It's like they had to go on that journey to kind of like realize the things that they kind of known all along, but they had to experience these things for it to like make more sense to them, I guess. So I'm at community college, Baltimore City Community College, and I see like a also alumni of the high school, this woman who is an amazing actress now. Her name is Moses Ingram, but at the time we call her Monique. But she was in, what is the show? Queen's Gambit.
Oh, okay.
She was the friend of Beth Harmon, and also she was in what is like Obi-Wan.
The new one that with the baby.
Yes, it was
Mandalorian?
one that was yes. No, it's maybe that, or was one of those where it was like
Obi-Wan, like the actual show called
yes,
Obi-Wan.
the show. She was on there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
She's black, so she's the character, the black character.
Gotcha.
So she was on that, and anyway,
Nice,
so
that's cool.
but at that time, like we were those two people that were like, all right, well, she got into like one of her schools, or maybe she didn't get to any of her schools. I can't remember, but you know, I got into a school, she got into a school, and I'm thinking that's the story. And then we both didn't have the money to go, so we were like, all right, let's go to community college. We were not friends like that, but we knew each other, and so seeing her there and her seeing me, we just like kind of like came together, and we was like, look, girl, what are we doing here? This is crazy.
With all these people?
Yeah, like why are we
classes.
here with all these muggles? You know, like we're like these artistic type of people that come.
Right.
You know, obviously these other people could have been, you know, whatever. But it's like we're just like, what are we doing here? We gotta get out of here. So we kind of like bonded in that way. She was working at like the symphony and like as like just like a usher, I think.
Yeah.
And I was at school and sometimes working as well in this restaurant connected to this theater that my mom worked at the time. But yeah, we were just trying to like get through it. And it was like halfway, it was like kind of like winter break had hit. And I was, again, still in my mindset of like, oh, I'm just going to go to freaking 4-year college and major in dance because that's what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be a professional. Ooh, like I'm going to wait those years. And then, you know, a friend of mine, I don't know who I reached out to, but I reached out to a friend of mine who graduated from the high school. Obviously, I did an extra year because I had failed. So I like graduated. I was supposed to graduate 2011, but I graduated 2012.
Okay.
Anyway, so now I'm in community college.
Yeah.
I'm talking to my friend Alexis, who was at University of the Arts, and we were just sitting on the phone. We're like, we hate it. Like I hate community college, and she like doesn't love the school that she's at.
Yeah.
And we're like, then let's start auditioning. And I don't know if it was her to say it or I said, we were like, okay, let's do it. And I was like, yeah, because at the end of the day, like, we don't want, like, obviously, like, we want to go to school because everybody, but it's like, that's just maybe just not for us right now. That's not our journey. Right. So, like, at the end of the day, like, the whole point, the whole end goal is to be a professional dancer. We didn't train all these years in ballet and go through all this shit to like not do it.
Just to
and
go
to like get
again.
it, also, and to get it in like 4 years or 5 years when most people have been training like their whole lives or like been homeschooling and taking like dance like many more hours. But the ballet program at School of the Arts, when I was there, you know, it was so strong. It's like 2-hour ballet class every day, and then like a point class or a pas de deux class or like modern. It's just like it was intense.
Yeah.
And it was like enough that someone who just started at 14 could get just as much training as someone who started at like, I don't know, 10 or 12 and be ready to compete with them.
It's like boot camp.
Yeah, you know, and so it was very good.
I wish more people would kind of just give you the more options.
Instead
of just high school, college.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
You know, so you and you know, people, you know, when I would go back to my school and like take class, because that's what a lot of alumni did at the time, a lot of the students that were there like, aren't you supposed to be like in college right now? Like, what are you doing? I'm just like, I used to get so pissed off because it's like, one, I felt disrespected. I was like, I like did this shit already. Like, you still trying to do it. But also I'm just like, I'm like, y'all don't even know. You don't even know what it's like when you have to, you know, get it out the mud again. Like, you really are on your own and you're trying to like make your dream a reality. Like, you're still living at home with your mother and they're, you know, taking care of you. Like, but what is it like when you have to like do it on your own and make your dream a reality without anyone's help?
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So you just wait and see,
Exactly.
you know, when you graduate, how it, you know, like, or when you're done, you know, because again, I feel like college, yes, you're learning something, but it's only buying you more time until you have to like then kind of go out there and audition for these companies.
And then as a dancer, you know, you only have a certain amount of years.
Exactly. And a lot of times, like when you are getting out of college, sometimes they're like, you're too old. And some of these girls are like, these people get out of college, they're only like 22. But like for them, it's like too old, you know? So, I mean, it's different. Everybody's story and their like path is different. But anyway, we're like, fuck that. We're going to start auditioning. So we started auditioning. We would go to New York. She had a boyfriend at the time. She would go to stay with him at his college. I had friends in the city or people that I would reach out to, like alumni of my high school. Or like I had a friend who went to Adelphi, so I would go stay at her dorm sometimes. And we would just like I would take the train back and forth or the bus to the city. And we would just audition. And I went to, So it was a lot. You know, there were times when we went to auditions and we have no money.
And like, you have to pay to audition?
Yeah, there's like an audition fee. You just pay like $20 or $30.
Gotcha.
And I mean, these people are coming from, and they like, you know, like we've been like a year out of school, and like a lot of these people have been like still like kind of training and stuff. So it was rough, you know, but like God had us, you know, like, you know, there was a time where she like didn't have any money or like I didn't have any money, and like this guy, we were at like the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and like this guy was on the train, and she was like, no, on the elevator, and she was like, I don't know, like I don't have enough money, and he literally like pulled out like a whole stack out of his pocket and like gave her like $40 or something. I was just like, what? You know, like I was at an audition, and this woman, you know, who's there, probably there with her daughter, she was like, oh, I can help you. Like, you know, so like, again, the universe is really just out there trying to help us out.
Yep.
We really just gotta like stay open.
Yeah.
So did that whole thing. Fast forward to like April. I was gonna go to Nashville Ballet for the summer, which I did, and she was supposed to go to like LA Ballet for the summer to like see like if they would like ask us to stay. I call her up, and she's like, I'm pregnant.
Oh no.
And I'm like, okay, well, this was not the plan, but like, you know, now she has 2 beautiful children.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, now I'm on my own. So, but like also like we did it together, which was, I guess, again, a part of the plan. So did that, went to Nashville for the summer. Was my first time there, was my first time back in like real intense like dance training since like leaving high school and kind of like going through like that first year like college kind of experience.
Yeah.
And I would say I loved like college. Like I loved like learning about like history and like psychology and everything like that. Like and making friends, and just it was like it was cool.
Right.
But it just was not what like I was wanting to do in my life.
Sure.
So anyway, we did the audition. I went to Nashville. Was great, but just didn't work out. Didn't pan out. Like they wanted me a lot in the beginning. I was like, this is cool. I want to stay. But also I was just like, this seems weird. Like I feel like not to like be rude, but I was like, I know that I'm just getting back into it, but I feel like the people that they're like taking as well, I'm like, these people aren't like, I don't, then to me, then like, all right, this seems weird. It's like, maybe this is just like kind of just like gathering people together to try to like, you know, have us like work through some type of, I don't know. I just felt like it was
the whole vibe was off.
I was like the levels of like ability around the whole grouping of people that they wanted to stay, I just didn't see it. Like it was like off a little bit. Anyway, I don't know. But I mean, when I look back at the pictures of myself, I was like, I don't know, I was kind of like thick. You know, I was not in shapes, but they wanted to take me. Anyway, towards the end, I was like, you know, this is not the place for me. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
But also it didn't work out. They didn't want me to stay anymore. And I was like, you know what? That's cool.
Probably for the better.
Probably for the better. So go back home. I knew of another girl who was from my high school who went to train at the Dance Theater Harlem, who was at Point Park University, but I guess she just decided she didn't want to do that anymore either. So I went and auditioned for that program, a professional training program at Dance Theater Harlem, and they offered me, you know, a scholarship to come, but I just need to find a place to stay. So I had to go back home, figure that out, and eventually I went there for that year.
Nice.
That was my first year living in New York. While I was staying in Jersey City and commuting back and forth to the city. Again, that was like the whole like starving artist vibe thing going on. Like I was like some days like starving, like in tears on the phone with my mom, like I'm hungry. My grandmother would send me like care packages to the studios where I would take class every day. I had friends in the city, so that like if I didn't have enough money to go back to Jersey, I would just spend the night at their house because like, oh, I had to wake up the next day and go back to DTH for like class or for like a show, or I had to be in the city for an audition. So like it really worked out. And I'm so thankful for that year and just like all the people that I had there with me, supporting me through that.
Well, when you're young like that too, like it's
It's kind of okay to go through the suck
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean?
And I'm telling you, like, that is also how I know how strong I am as a person.
Yeah, it makes you
because
stronger.
I've gone through so much like shit, you know, and I feel like a lot of people who I know have not really gone through those life experiences like that, where they really are like struggling, like in the thick of it, and they don't really have like that many people who can like help them out, or who are like have like checks coming in, like, and they don't have a job. So then I went and got a job at Panera Bread, and that was crazy, working in the city, and just like, you know, I made some friends, but also like I had one night where my like manager like blew up on me and was like wilding out, and I was just like, oh fuck that shit. Like I'm like I'm nice. I'm not trying to like make a scene, but I'm like, you wilding out, and like this is crazy. Like And, I got in trouble one time for like giving food to like a homeless person. I'm just like, oh, I paid for it. Like, what's the big deal? But anyway, I had to learn. But I think that like that year was enough for me to realize that like I had, when it came to like me in the studio at Danseur at Home, like the teachers that I had, they were like, look, we not putting up with your bullshit. You need to get your attitude together. You need to like really focus, and while at times I felt like misunderstood, it was also like things that I really need to like face within myself.
Interesting.
And how to
So
like.
you thought that they were right?
Eventually I came around to the fact that they were right, and that, it really was me getting in my own way. I mean, I had teachers, multiple times telling me like, you gotta get out of your own way. And so, and while I think that my peers maybe like also at times misunderstood me, if like they feel like you and kind of like didn't really maybe judge me before they got to know me, but also I felt like when it clicked to me that I need to just like get my shit together.
Yeah.
And it took me the whole kind of year. I was like, oh, I'm about to fucking wow you bitches. There was one time where like we were doing this thing called like Tafia. It was just basically like a piece where we like went through like the African diaspora through like dance, like Harlem Renaissance and like Middle Passage and stuff like that. And like I had to like read a monologue by Marcus Garvey, and I took it home and like studied it. I went on YouTube, and this is why also I feel like for my next act, I'm gonna do some acting,
right?
And musical theater and all this other stuff, and maybe just like real like just like TV, acting and stuff like that. I mean, like look at freaking Debbie Allen, and so many other people. But I was like, let me listen to how he talks. I mean, there's some interviews on YouTube, so I like studied his voice and really went and like learned the monologue. And then next day we were in that class. They were like, "Who wants to go?" And I was like, "I'll go first." And I was like, "Y'all don't even know what I'm about to do." And at first I was nervous. I was like, "Am I going to do this?" And I'm telling you, something just came over me, and I did the monologue. And then after that, it was quiet, and everybody was like, what the hell? Like they were like losing it, and they were like, that was crazy. And even I have a friend, his name is Ricky. To this day, he's like, that day when you read that monologue, you gagged us. And I was like, I really did. I gagged myself. So I was like, I told myself like, I'm about to do this.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure, and I did it. And they were like, wow. And even since we talk, he's like, I did judge you from the beginning, because I was just like, I don't really know, but I think that you just had like some stuff that you had to like work through. And I feel like, I really did. And then I went to this summer program that I went to the summer prior to going to the year at Danseur to Harlem. And it was a totally different experience because I had like faced myself and been like I don't need anything from these people. I don't need them to offer me a spot in their school or anything like that. I just want the training.
Right.
And so I was like, telling myself like, just do what you've been doing. Go in there with the right mindset, and it'll be a completely different experience. Watch. And it was. And I got a solo dance that we did.
Nice.
And maybe they gave it to me because like this was my second summer that I was there, but also I just felt I had definitely improved, and they saw a different version of me that was so eager and wanting to like learn. And
if you do any kind of growth, man, eventually someone will see it.
Yeah. And so I did that, and then it was like one night I was staying in the basement at one of my dad's fraternity brothers' home, and that's where I was staying, and I just was like sitting there, and I heard the voice in my head, and maybe it was my voice, but also the voice of my inner being or voice of God, universe.
I know that voice.
And it just said, to me,
the realization,
go home. You're done here. And I was like, okay. Bought me a ticket to go back home.
Yeah.
With like the money I had left, and I was like, all right, I'm going home. So I went back home. This is 2015. Or this is like summer of 2014, I believe. Yeah, summer of 2014. Went back home, had my birthday party at my grandmother's house. Was like, all right, I'm just gonna get a job at the mall. I got a job at Forever 21, and just was working. And I was like, I'm gonna take class, and then a lot of other opportunities to perform. And compete in freaking ballet competitions and just dance a lot, which is what I wanted to do to stay in shape, really opened for me. So it's like when you listen to the voice, whether it's your voice or the voice of the divine, and you follow that and you don't judge it and you don't question it, you just go and trust. Everything else is just gonna
it's the trust part.
It's the trust. Just trust and just go, and and you feel it in your heart. And you listen. You just stay open. Just don't judge it. Everything's gonna unfold perfectly for you, and everything really just like if I look back at that year, it's like I just heard something tell me go home, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. And when I did it, everything and more things I could have imagined, happened for me, and that was the year and the summer that I I was staying with my mom, then we got evicted. I went to go stay with a friend, then I went to go stay with my sister. And I was still, but I still was like, all right, I gotta that's my dream. I know I can do it now. I don't have to just dance for this which is nothing wrong with that. But I was like, in my mind, I was like, I only can dance for Dancer of Harlem if I want to be a professional dancer because they're the only company that will accept me because I'm Black. But I was like, no, actually, I'll be accepted anywhere I go because
you deserve it.
I deserve it, and I'm gonna work my ass off and do it. Oh shit! Let me hit the mic. And so I went home and I did all that, and I was working, and I made friends at the job I was at, and my lovely trans friend. She's so beautiful. I call her Star. We just bonded, and she was one of those people that immediately saw me was like, oh, you love ballet. You want to dance. And I was like, yeah. And then from then on, she would be like, leave him alone. He's just trying to dance. Or she would encourage me to just start. I would be twirling around the store and not working.
Right.
And she was like, get back to that fitting room. But also that was good. Or if I did something, she was like, that wasn't tight. You fix that again. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you don't even know anything about ballet, but she was like, no, I know something about how how it's supposed to look, and that wasn't good. So do it again. And I was like, all right. But anyway,
kept you on.
Yeah, but just saw me for who I was and was like, all right, go do that. But yeah, auditioned for Carolina Ballet summer program. They offered me a full scholarship to come for the summer. This is where I started. Now we're here.
Is Carolina Ballet, you said scholarship. Is it a school?
So they have a summer program every summer. They didn't have a school until, could be wrong, but I think they didn't open the school until 2018. Oh. Or 2018, 2019. They didn't open up their school.
I thought Carolina Ballet was just like a group of ballet people.
Yeah, so it was a ballet. It strictly was just like a ballet company. That started. And then they opened up their own school.
Gotcha.
And in 2018, but they always had a summer program to train dancers for the summer, because every ballet company has a summer program. That's how they can make money as well. But it's good training. It was the best training that I had gotten out of intensive. One of the best intensives I had been to, and it also helped me to kind of get back in shape and strengthen my technique right before they offered me an apprenticeship to join the company.
Nice.
As an apprentice that summer. So I went there summer of 2015, and at the end of the summer they offered me a full
how was that feeling?
It was amazing. It was
did that validate everything for you?
So at that time, again, I was still kind of not trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do ballet, but also I was just trying to be logistical, I guess, and thinking all right, well, I got one offer to go to Dallas Black Dance Theater, which is a modern company, which is that's not really what I wanted to do. I wanted to do ballet, but I just wanted to go with the offer was or the money was, and they wanted me to come to their summer program or an audition or something like that. Anyway, so I went and talked to one of the modern teachers I had that summer, and she was like, well, what do you want to do? She was like, do you want to go dance there? Do you want to do ballet, or do you want to dance here? And I said to her, I was like, well, I want to dance here. Then she said, well, then you should stay here. And I was like, okay. So then I stayed there, and you
just needed that validation.
I just needed that validation, and so it was okay, so I'm gonna stay here. I don't know if they're gonna offer me anything, but you know what? I know I'm gonna keep working, and I know that I'm good, and I'm I'm here for a reason. They wouldn't have invited me to come and give me a full scholarship to come for the summer. So did that, and they offered me a scholarship I'm sorry, they offered me a scholarship to come for the summer, but they offered me an apprenticeship to join
Yeah.
as an apprentice for that following season.
Yeah.
That was crazy. First time, like not first time living on my own, but my first time like really like kind of like living by myself and trying to figure out what was going on. I mean, like I needed to find a place. It was one of those things where like there was always something that kind of almost got in the way of everything, but like it worked out. Like so
now we're here.
Now we're here.
Wow.
8-9 years later.
Right.
So
still making the dream happen though, man.
Still making the dream happen, and also just like realizing, you know, what's like realizing that while ballet was the dream, it was not one of my only dreams. And I think that is something that I've had to remember along the journey, that
there's other dreams.
I've been inspired by many things. I mean, my mom worked at a restaurant connected to a theater that had constantly had like Broadway shows coming in, tours and stuff coming in.
So you're trying to get into acting?
I took an acting class in 2021 with a coworker of mine.
Yeah.
So like I want to do Moonlight Stage.
Okay. I used to teach today.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. You teach acting?
Yeah.
And here we are. So yeah, I took an acting class. I loved it, you know, but I want to do musical.
I wonder if I saw you.
Maybe. You probably did.
Maybe. You do look, now that it's blurry now, but maybe. Anyways, sorry.
So, I mean, I'm such like a performer, but also I'm such an actor on stage, I feel that.
You have to be, man.
You have to be.
It kind of goes hand in hand.
But there's so much of like experiences and stuff that I've gone through that while I've cultivated this technique physically, that, you know, I want to do more stuff. So I would love to do more musical theater, which also requires you to sing, which requires you to act, which I, you know, also am passionate about.
Great. That's great, man.
So yeah.
Yeah. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, you already have, I believe, dancers, anyone who plays sports and stuff like that, they all have the mind connecting with the body, which is what you need as an actor.
Yeah.
And so you have that.
And the emotions. It's like being more, like, we're so connected with like who we are, like emotionally. I feel like I am that, you know, there's like so much depth there to like give to like these characters in these plays or movies or musicals and stuff like that.
It's the behaviors that create the emotions.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you have a strong sense of it. I think you can go far with it.
Yeah.
And it's nothing wrong with doing both either.
No,
a lot of people, like my past students, are like, "Oh, I should go here or do this." I'm like, why can't you do both?
Yeah.
Life is an and, not an or.
I cannot continue on without mentioning the person on my shirt, Darius Barnes, who was a graduate of my high school. And later, when I was in New York, I actually I went to Danseur Harlem for a summer first. And that's when I like saw him in the class, and he pulled me aside and I was like, wait, I think I've seen pictures of you on the walls of my high school. So we connected then. And then when I went back to New York, he had joined the company, but he had also been in musicals and stuff. And, you know, had been a very like big inspiration for me to like pursue that. And he came and choreographed on the company back in 2021. And then he had passed in 2020, summer of 2022. But and this is right after I got promoted to soloist, and I have talked to him like, I don't know what they're gonna do with me here. Like, I love it here, and I want to like, you know, get more opportunities. But you know, also maybe I should start auditioning for like musicals and stuff. And what he would say to me all the time is like, you know, just keep doing ballet for as long as you can, because as long as you can, or as long as you want to do it, you know, it's like if you don't want to do it anymore, then go do something else. But also like dance career as a whole, you know, it's not that long. But also when it comes to ballet and then it comes to musical theater, it's like you don't really need that much. Like a dance ability or technique, I would love to have my full ability and technique to use to show on those stages, because you don't see it that often. But yeah, he was like, you know, do it for as long as you know, do it. You want to do it until you don't love it anymore, and then go do something else. But yeah, big inspiration for me. He like choreographed for musicals. He had been in a lot of shows, but he also did ballet. You know, I danced with Suzanne Farrow and New York City Ballet and Dance Theater Harlem. So big ups to him. Yeah.
Well, I think he has a better understanding of what it means to be a dancer.
Yes.
Right? So like that's kind of why he says do this dancing as much as you can.
Yeah.
I don't know how old you are or anything like that.
30.
30?
Yeah.
So like I don't know how longer.
I mean, there's dancers in the company who are have a kid, have 2 kids. They're like in their one's like principal, beautiful dancer, principal of the company, Jan Burkhart. Like what? I don't want to like say the wrong age, but she's in like her like mid to late 30s and has 2 kids and still like dancing at top of her game. And then there's another principal dancer who was a founding member of the company who is like in her early 40s.
Sure. But there's always going to be musical theater.
Yeah, there's always going to be
acting.
There's always going to be dance.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it all.
Yeah.
But
so it doesn't really matter when you start, honestly, because it's always going to be there for you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Do you?
Do you? And lead with love.
Man, this has been fun, man.
Thank you.
Honestly, it's been one of my top favorites to talk.
That is, I can sleep tonight now knowing that. You know, I mean, honestly, I've never done a podcast, but this is one of the best experiences I've had. And also, it was like, what a great way to like actually get to know you and talk to you and talk about, I don't know, my experience and also your experiences, which was fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. It kind of like, I love doing this because it like, you know, creates a bond and it's like, you know, you're forever a friend now, you know, because we've experienced life, you know.
We've shared life.
And through words.
Through words.
But yeah, that's it.
All right. That's it. Thank you. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.